going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today is Expanded Day, and the deck being featured today is the deck that got top 4 at the first Expanded Regionals of the season in Portland. And we're talking ARCHIE'S or Blastoise Archie, or Keldeo Blastoise. You know, the list goes on and on of names you can call it. Most commonly referred as ARCHIE'S. Of course, this deck, or at least the original incarnation of the deck, is actually my best friend's favorite deck. So I always enjoy covering it pretty much any time that I can, along with playing it any time that I can. When I was looking to going at my first regional, Blastoise Archie's was pretty much what I was looking into playing. It looked really, really fun, and I was liking how consistent it actually was. Even though it kind of seems like it's not, it was really, really consistent back then, even more so now. So it's pretty crazy. Zachary Everest was the player that actually took this deck to the top 4 finish in Portland, so congrats and GG's to him. So if you guys are hyped for some Expanded and some Blastoise, make sure to drop a like on this video, guys, and let's get right into it. So of course, Blastoise is the star of the show. We're playing 2 copies of Blastoise, 140 HP, here for the ability Deluge. As often as you'd like during your turn before you attack, you may attach a water energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon. If you guys kind of seen this before, Magnezone is running around in Standard that pretty much has the same ability, except with Metal Energy and I guess Lightning Energy, because it got the alternate typing and stuff like that. I actually don't know if it did. I'm pretty sure it did. Hydro Pump, 4 colorless energy, 60 plus. It does 10 more damage for each water energy attached to it. Weak to grass. You're not really going to be attacking with Blastoise, to be honest. I mean, you can. There's actually not really nothing wrong with you doing so. But you're not really going to be focusing on that as well, though. And then we're going to go into, well, actually, you guys may be wondering, if you guys aren't familiar with the deck already, you don't need Squirtle. You don't need War Turtle, and we'll get into that a little bit later on in this video. So you guys, you know, don't just be like, how are you going to run a deck and you can't get it out? Just don't worry about it, guys. We'll get right to it. This deck has all sorts of water support, though, which is really cool. So, Keldeo EX, 170 HP. Russian is the ability. Once during your turn before you attack, if this Pokemon is on your bench, you may switch this Pokemon with your active. Secret Sword, for 3 colors, does 50 plus, does 20 more damage for each water energy attached to this Pokemon. Weak to grass, and a 2 retreat cost. The ability is pretty much similar to Stand-In Zoroark that we got from like Breakthrough or Breakpoint. I think it was Breakthrough a couple of years ago. That was at the time in Standard, now in Expanded. Then we're playing 2 copies of Articuno with, of course, the Ancient Trait, 120. The Ancient Trait is Delta Plus. If your opponent's Pokemon is knocked down by damage from an attack of this Pokemon, take 1 more prize card. Chilling Sigh is the first attack for 1 water. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. The second attack is Tri-Edge for 2 water, 1 colorless. Flip 3 coins. This attack does 40 more damage for each heads and does 20 base damage. Weak to steel, metal, and resistance to fighting. 2 retreat costs there. We're playing 2 copies of it. And then we're playing a couple 1-ofs. Palkia GX, 180 HP. First attack is Spatial Control for 1 water. Move any number of energy from your bench Pokemon to this Pokemon. Hydro Pressure, 60 plus for 3 colorless. This attack does 20 more damage times the amount of water energy attached to this Pokemon. Very, very similar to all the other attacks that we've already covered in the form of Blastoise and Keldeo. Zero Vanish GX for 3 water, 2 colors. This 150. Shuffle all energy from each of your opponent's Pokemon into their deck. That is the most trolly thing that I can possibly see. It's not really going to get the knockout on much things besides like 1 prize attackers. But other than that, just get rid of all your opponent's energies and just put them back into the deck. It's really, really trolly. Weak to water and has a 3 retreat cost. The other one we're playing is Kingdra GX, 230 HP, water type. Hydro Pump for 1 colorless. This attack does 50 more damage times the amount of water energy attached to this Pokemon. You guys, you gotta start seeing, you know, how common all the pretty much this attack is for all these Pokemon. That's why they mesh so well. I guess you can go into Reverse Thrust, 1 water, switch this Pokemon with one of your bench. It's kind of like a little strafe attack, where you hit and then run type of thing. Maelstrom GX. This attack does 40 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon, so it's kind of like a little spread. You're really not going to be focusing on that. You just want to take advantage of the attacks that pretty much increase damage due to the amount of water energies attached, because you tend to have a lot of water energies. And weak to grass and a 2 retreat cost here. And then we kind of have non-water support, but I mean support nonetheless. 2 copies of Tapu Lele GX, 170 HP. Wonder Tag: when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, search your deck for a supporter, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. Energy Drive for 2 colors, 20 times the amount of energy attached to both active Pokemon. This is another card that can take advantage of Blastoise's Deluge. Just boom, throw a whole bunch of water energy on Tapu Lele, and then start swinging so it can do a massive amount of damage. Then we're playing 2 copies of Execute for the propagation ability. Once during your turn, before you attack, if this Pokemon is in your discard pile, you may put this Pokemon into your hand. It's eventually going to lead to pretty much you having a free discard out for things like Ultra Ball and Superior Energy Retrieval and stuff like that. 2 copies of Shaman EX, 110 HP. Setup is the ability: when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand. Weak to lightning and a resistance to fighting. This is your, it's literally the name of the ability, your setup Pokemon. It's going to help you get the cards in your hand that you need to go on and do what you need to do to get Blastoise out as soon as possible. How are you going to get Blastoise, you ask? Archie's Ace in the Hole. You can play this card only when it's the last card in your hand. Put a water Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench, then draw 5 cards. That's your way of getting out things like Kingdra GX and Blastoise that don't actually have the rest of the line in the game or in the deck. So you don't need Squirtle or Water Turtle. You don't need Horsey or Seadra to get those guys out. So this is your way of doing it. We're playing 2 copies of that. 1 copy of Fisherman. Put 4 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. Another way of getting energies into your hand to take advantage of Deluge. 1 copy of Guzma. Switch one of your opponent's benched with their active. If you do, switch your active with one of your bench. 1 copy of N. Each player shuffles his or her hand into his or her deck. Then each player draws a card for each of the remaining prize cards. 1 copy of Professor Juniper. Professor Sycamore. It's pretty much the same thing, or it literally is, minus the name. Discard your hand, then draw 7 cards. And then Zorozic. Choose a tool or special energy attached to a Pokemon in play, yours or your opponent's, and discard it. It's a nice little variety of supporters. Expanded's a completely different game, so of course the supporter lineup is a bit weird, but this is something that I'm very, very used to. Archie's Ace in the Hole, of course, is just so much fun to do. It's like, I think it merits a, a high five, just kind of like a perfect Sycamore type thing. But going to items, we're starting off with 4 copies of Battle Compressor. Search your deck for up to 3 cards and discard them, shuffle your deck afterwards. So we're talking discarding stuff like Blastoise, and Propagation Execute. Those are good targets for discarding. Maybe you'd like to discard some supporters in the form of Archie, so you can take advantage of Via Seeker. Put a supporter card from your discard pile into your hand. 4 copies of that. 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Discard 2 cards from your hand. If you do, search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Of course, this is to minimize your hand size to make sure that pretty much Archie's is the last card in your hand. 4 copies of Trainer's Mail. Look at the top 4 cards in your deck. Reveal a training card you find there, except for Trainer's Mail. Put it into your hand and shuffle the other deck. 4 copies of Superior Energy Retrieval. I mentioned this earlier. Discard 2 cards from your hand. Executes. If you can't discard 2 cards, you can't play this card. Put 4 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. You can't choose a card you discarded with this effect. That's okay, because you're going to be discarding Executes anyway. Order Pad. Flip a coin. That's the only bad thing to this card. If heads, search your deck for an item card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. If you get tails, it's not the worst thing in the world. You want to minimize your hand size pretty much. 1 copy of Field Blower. Choose up to 2 in any combination of tool cards or stadium cards in play, and discard them. And then 1 copy of Computer Search. Discard 2 cards from your hand. Of course, you can discard 2 cards. You can't play this card. Search your deck for a card. Put it into your hand. Shuffle your deck afterwards. You see how it says a card, because you can search anything. Unlike Ultra Ball, that only searches Pokemon. Computer Search can search anything. If you need tools, if you need more item cards, if you need supporters, energy, stuff like that, Computer Search is your search. And then rounding out the items, of course, is 1 copy of Floodstone. This Pokemon this card is attached to has no retreat cost. And 2 copies of Muscle Band. The attacks of the Pokemon this card is attached to do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Very, very similar to things like Choice Band you guys may be familiar with in the standard format. However, Choice Band does 30 and only to EX and GX. How pretty much you know, it's kind of the same thing, but Muscle Band does 20, and it does it to anything. So that's the cool part to it. But that is it for the tools, supporters, all that good stuff. So rounding off the list is 10 copies of basic water energy. And this right here is what got top 4 at the Portland Regionals in Expanded. But it looks like that's going to be all the time that we have for today's video. Make sure to click the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I focus on putting Pokemon deck videos out as often as I possibly can here on the channel. And of course, we cover both standard and expanded. As you guys can see, this is, of course, an expanded deck. For example, though, I dropped a deck profile for standard format in the form of Malamar Giratina in my last video. So make sure to check that out in the end cards, and the eye cards as well should be popping up right in the top right side, the right corner of the screen. I think that's where it's at. I think that's where the eye cards are at. End cards, obviously, at the end of the video. Of course, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee are right around the corner. So expect to see some of that content make its way to the channel very, very soon. With that, it's the perfect time to plug my Twitch channel, as I will be live streaming the game when it comes out. So make sure you follow me over on twitch.tv/LouietV_, or just check out the description for the link itself. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.